Hello everyone, this is Benjamin from English Classes Online. You are welcome to today's video. We shall be looking at 25 rules of Concord, examining this aspect of English lexis and structure. The term Concord refers to the agreement between the parts of a sentence in number, person, and gender in order to make the sentence grammatical. Rules of Concord govern the way in which parts of a sentence are arranged together in order to achieve grammaticality. And when people violate the rules of Concord, they always commit a grammatical blunder. And the majority of the cases of grammatical errors arise from the violation of rules of Concord. So it is necessary for us to look at the rules of Concord and familiarize ourselves with these rules so that we can improve our linguistic competence, not only for scoring high in our English exams, but also for being able to communicate our ideas more effectively when we speak and when we write. If you are new to this channel, kindly subscribe to the channel. Click on the bell icon as well so that whenever I upload a new video, you will be informed instantly. Let's right away dive into today's lecture. We begin with rule number 1, which is known as the subject and verb concord. It states that a verb must agree with its subject in number and person. A singular subject takes a singular verb, while a plural subject must take a plural verb. For example, the box is on the table. The box is a singular subject, while is a singular verb. Example II, the boxes are on the table. Now the boxes is a plural subject and are is a plural verb. Now if we violate these rules, we make an ungrammatical sentence. If we say the box are on the table, that is ungrammatical. And if we say the boxes is on the table, that is equally ungrammatical. So we need to follow the rules of Concord in order to construct grammatical sentences. Rule number 2 is known as accompaniment concord, something that accompanies or goes with another. Alright, so it states that a singular verb, a singular subject is followed by a singular subject followed by such words as with, together with, as well as, or accompanied by, takes a singular verb. Now let's look at it. The first example here is the principal as well as his staff is in the hall. So if we look at it here, the principal is a singular subject. Then as well as is the accompaniment. And this actually is not taken into account in determining the verb that follows. The verb is a singular verb. And if you are not familiar with the rule of Concord, you might get it wrong. You might say the principal as well as his staff are in the hall, because you are looking at his staff as making it a plural subject, but it doesn't, because as well as his staff is simply an accompaniment. So what's happened is that the actual subject is the principal, and if we remove the accompaniment, what we have is the principal is in the hall and his staff are there with him as well. So that is logically its meaning. The principal is in the hall. By the way, his staff are also there with him. So the principal as well as his staff is in the hall. Now the second one, Jane, is also a singular subject. Jane, together with his sisters, now together with his sisters is the accompaniment. And so what we have is Jane is in the hall, and by the way, his sisters are there together with her. So Jane together with her sisters is in the hall. Not Jane together with his sisters are in the hall. That would be absolutely wrong. Then the third one, compound subjects, that is two or more subjects joined by and, take plural verbs. Of course, this is a departure from the accompaniment, because here we have a compound subject, not a singular subject accompanied by another expression. So now let's look at the example. The man and his wife have arrived, because here we have two singular subjects put together to form a compound subject, so it becomes a plural subject. So the first rule applies here, because as a compound subject, the whole thing becomes a plural subject. If you have to represent this with a pronoun, you will say they have arrived. Who are the they? The man and his wife. So it's a plural subject. Then the second one, boys and girls were treated equally. So boys and girls form a plural subject, and that gives us a plural verb as well. Okay, so let's go ahead to the next rules of Concord, and that is number 4. In number 4, we have when a compound subject, that is two or more subjects joined by and, refer to the same person or thing, the verb is the singular. Of course, this is what is called the double title. Alright? Subject with a double title. Alright, so the first example we have here is the president and commander-in-chief of the armed forces is already at the Eagle Square. Alright, the same person is the president and the same person is the commander-in-chief of the armed forces. So it is perceived as a singular subject because only one person is referred to here. So it takes a singular verb. The second one is my Redeemer and Comforter is the Lord. The same Redeemer is the same Comforter, and so it takes a singular verb. Rule number 5. Alright, so let's look at rule number 5. When two subjects, a compound subject, refer to the same thing or is perceived as a singular idea or unit, the singular verb is used. This is similar to the first one, only that the other one refers to persons, and here we are looking at things. And so let's look at it. Rice and stew is my favorite dish. You see, even though we have rice and stew, it refers to a single dish, so it takes a singular verb. Rice and stew is my favorite dish. Bread and butter is what Jane likes. So bread and butter also refers to the same dish going together, and it takes a singular verb. Rule number 6. When a compound subject is connected with correlatives, the singular verb is used. Now, correlatives are a type of conjunction that are always used in pairs. Example is either or. So we look at this first example. Either Hannah or Elizabeth cooks the family's supper. You see, so either Hannah or Elizabeth cooks. So because of the use of correlatives, is just perceived as a singular subject, because the two are not cooking the family meals. It has to be one person who will do it, and that gives us a singular subject. Then the second example, neither John nor Jack has arrived. You see, because of the use of neither here, then we are looking at John or Jack, and it is just one of them, and so it has to take a singular verb. Neither John nor Jack has arrived. Alright, so then the third example, not only Mark but also Matthew plays the piano. Not only Mark but also Matthew plays the piano. So these are the examples of the use of correlatives to determine the singular subject and singular verb. Alright, now let's proceed. Number 7, then we have when the nouns joined by correlatives differ in number, the verb agrees with the nearer noun. This, of course, is the rule of proximity. The rule of proximity applies in different ways, but this is one of them. You know, the law of proximity. Proximity means nearness, and it applies in grammatical expressions. Now, the first example, neither the principal nor the teachers have arrived. You see, neither the principal nor the teachers, because the teachers is a plural subject and that is the one nearest to the verb, so the verb must agree with this subject, which is plural, and that gives us a plural verb. Because if we say the teachers have arrived. The second one, neither the players nor their coach is here. Now the coach is the subject nearer to the verb, and so it compels the verb to be singular, just as the subject itself is singular. Now rule number 8, when a collective noun expresses a singular idea, it takes a singular verb, but when it expresses a plural idea, it takes a plural verb. So we are talking about a collective noun, and when it expresses a singular idea, it takes a singular verb, but when it expresses a plural idea, it takes a plural verb. So let's look at how it works. Example I, the team has won its matches this season. Now we are looking at the team here as a single unit. The team is here acting as a single unit. So that is we are expressing a singular idea here, and so it has to take a singular verb. The team has won its matches this season. But let's look at the second one. The team have started practicing for their next match. That's, they are here acting as individuals, which is a plural idea, and so it takes a plural verb. So you can look at the use of the collective noun as something that can either go with a singular verb or go with a plural verb. Then number 9, let's try to avoid confusing one with the other. Number 9, a collective noun followed by of and a plural noun must take a singular verb. Alright? Example, a gang of robbers has been terrorizing the community lately. Now, a gang is a singular collective noun. Alright, it's a collective noun, and if it goes with of, a gang of robbers refers to one group of people, so it has to take a singular verb. A gang of robbers has been terrorizing the community lately. The second example, a team as a group, a team of athletes has arrived from South Africa. So that is exactly the way it functions. Alright. So let's erase this so that it won't affect our subsequent explanations and illustrations. Alright. Okay, so let's proceed to the next one, and here we have number 10, rule number 10. One of plus a plural noun must take a singular verb. When we say one of, for example, one of the students was punished for lying to the class teacher. So one of the students was. So it is wrong to say one of the students were. Of course, that will not make a grammatical sense. So number 2 is one of the new lecturers is a professor. One of. So that's the way it is. Rule number 11. If the subject is a relative pronoun, the verb must agree with its antecedent. A relative pronoun is a pronoun that, of course, begins an adjectival or a relative clause, and we shall be looking at it. It is Jack who, this is now a correlative, this is a correlative pronoun. The correlative pronoun is who. That's a correlative pronoun. Alright? Okay, so it is Jack who has done this, not have. Now, has is a singular verb, and the antecedent of who is Jack. Jack is singular. It is Jack who has done this, So, because Jack is the antecedent of who, and it is a singular subject, then the verb has to be singular. Now we look at the other one. It is you who, so who is the relative pronoun here? The antecedent of the relative pronoun is you, and the antecedent must agree with the verb. Of course, if we only remove who and then we join this, what do we have? You have a case to answer. If we join the first one, Jack has done this. Of course, so the intervention of the relative pronoun should not in any way compel the verb to differ. The verb must agree with the direct antecedent of the relative pronoun. It is you who have a case to answer. It is Jack who has done this. Now, sometimes you find the examiners coming with a question like, please don't mind my, it is I who dash let's wipe this. Alright. Okay, so it is I who dash to go in, So it is I. Of course, to get it right, we only have to remove the antecedent and assume that it doesn't exist, and then we join it. Now, I am going, so am is the correct verb here. It is I who am So this is the way it works. You have to remove the relative pronoun and join its antecedent with the verb, and then it will dawn on you the exact type of verb that must go with the antecedent. You cannot say I is to going, but ordinarily when people are asked this question, it is I who dash to going. Most people will choose is to going. But then remove who, and then you ask yourself, I is to going. Is that grammatical? Of course no. Of course no. So that's the way rules of Concord apply. When you understand the rules of Concord, no matter how complicated a sentence construction appears, you will always achieve grammaticality. Now the third one is Olu is one of those who dash bribe, one of those who take bribe. Of course, because the antecedent of who here has changed, it is no longer Olu that is the antecedent of who. The antecedent of who here is those. And this is why the verb must be plural. Now, if you remove those, if you say Olu, Olu is the one who takes bribe, because one here is singular. Or if you say it is Olu who takes bribe. But then those, if you say Olu is one of those who take bribe, not takes. So that is exactly how to get it right. Rule number 12. More than one takes a singular verb even though it appears to be plural in meaning. Example, more than one person has died in the clinic this week. Alright? More than one person, alright, has died. And then when you say more than one robber was killed by the policemen during the shootout, not robbers or where. You cannot say more than one robbers, and you cannot say more than one robber where. So more than one robber was killed by the policeman. So that's exactly the way it is. So let's erase this so we can see quite clearly as we tackle others. Okay, let's now go to the next, and that is rule number 13. If the subject is an infinitive, a gerund, a verbal noun, or a noun clause, the verb is singular. What do we mean by an infinitive? An infinitive is something that doesn't have that doesn't change. Is not responsive to change. A gerund is an infinitive is an infinitive that has been used also as a noun, while we have a verbal noun or a noun clause. Now let's look at it. Now to A, you see to A here has become an infinitive. This is an infinitive which has been nominalized. Ordinarily, A is a verb, but when we add the preposition to, we turn it into a noun, and that is what we call nominalization, the act of converting a verb or an adjective into a noun, and this is one of these. So this is an infinitive. To A is human. So we are saying that when you have an infinitive, of course, it takes a singular verb. Then this is another infinitive, but this infinitive has been used as a gerund here. because singing is a verb. If it is used in a compound verb such as Mary is singing, so is singing, so singing becomes what we call a present participle. All right, a present participle. But here it is used as a gerund. When a present participle is used as a noun, of course it is called a gerund, or it becomes a verbal noun, if you like. Singing gives me much pleasure, so it takes a singular verb. The third one, that he looted the treasury, is an open secret. All right, so that he looted the treasury, this also is this is a noun clause. That he looted the treasury is a noun clause. And how do you know a noun clause? It can function as a subject, and it can be replaced with a noun or even a pronoun. So if we look at that he looted the treasury, we can replace it with the pronoun it, and we say it is an open secret. What is an open secret? The fact that he looted the treasury. So such expressions, when they form the subject, will always take a singular verb. Now, rule number 14. Demonstrative adjectives must agree in number with the nouns they qualify. Example, this kind of person is not good for the post. Of course, if we change this, the demonstrative adjective is this. Now, it becomes a demonstrative pronoun if it doesn't modify anything. All right? If we say this is not good, it becomes a demonstrative pronoun. But here it is modifying person. This kind of person is not good. So this must agree with person. Now, if this changes to persons, this must change to these. The plural of this is these. And so if we change this to these kinds of persons, these kinds of persons, all right? So we are saying that demonstrative adjectives must agree in number with the nouns they qualify. This is a demonstrative adjective, and it qualifies kind and person. Example, those varieties of crops are likely to grow well there. Those is the demonstrative adjective, and it is plural here because the varieties it qualifies is plural as well. All right. Number 15, mandative subjunctive concord. When prayer, suggestion, wish, demand, recommendation, or resolution is used in a sentence, the verb that follows must be plural, whether the subject is singular or plural. For example, it has been suggested that she go back to her husband's house, not goes, because it has been suggested that she go, not that she goes. So when a suggestion is expressed, of course, that's what we call a subjunctive concord. The second one, the committee has recommended that the commissioner resign, not that the commissioner resigns. All right? The committee has recommended that the commissioner resign. The third one, I pray that God give the family the fortitude to bear the loss, not gives. I pray that God give, not I pray that God gives. This is subjunctive concord. All right? So let's go to the next. And that is 16. Let's wipe our writings here. Okay. Rule number 16, the principle of proximity. We earlier met the principle of proximity, but in another aspect. Now, when there is a list of nouns or pronouns at the level of the subject, it is the nearest noun or pronoun to the position of the verb that will determine the choice of the verb. Example I, if the team loses today's match, the players, the captain, the goalkeeper, or the coach is to be blamed. Now, we have different kinds of the players is plural, the captain is singular, the goalkeeper is singular, but the coach is the one that is nearest to the verb. So because the coach is a singular subject, it takes a singular verb. Let's look at the second example. Either Jude or his friends are responsible for the damage to the windscreen, not is, because here, even though Jude is singular, it is his friends. This is the subject that is nearer to the verb, and because this is plural, the verb has to be plural. Either Jude or his friends are responsible. Now, if we are to reconstruct it, and we say either his friends or Jude is, that's the way it works. Rule number 17 concerns parentheses. A parenthetical statement should not be considered in choosing the verb that will follow. The parenthesis statement is an additional statement to what has already been said before. For example, the coach, not his players, is in the class. So here is similar to what we considered as an accompaniment earlier on. But the real subject is the coach, which is singular. Even though we have a plural subject here, but because this expression is in parentheses, we can remove the commas and put it in brackets, and it will still be correct. So the coach, not his players, is in the class. So that is absolutely correct. Because the coach is singular, then the verb must be singular. Not are, because not his players is a parenthetical statement and has nothing to do with choosing the verb, just as we earlier stated the rule. Example I, the contractor, not many of his workers, is on the side. You see, so again, because the contractor is singular, not many of his workers is plural, yet it's not considered. The verb must be singular because the actual subject is singular. Rule number 18, indefinite pronoun concord. An indefinite pronoun should be used with a singular verb. Examples of indefinite pronouns are everybody, everything, everyone, everywhere, no one, nothing, nobody, nowhere, something, someone, somebody, anyone, anything, anybody, each. Now, an indefinite pronoun is a kind of pronoun that doesn't refer to a person in particular. It doesn't refer to any person or thing specifically. And so it takes a singular verb. Now, example I, nobody knows tomorrow. Because nobody is an indefinite pronoun, the verb must be singular, and that is knows. Example I, everybody in the family is safe. Now, because everybody is indefinite, of course, the verb is singular. So that's the way it works. Alright, let's wipe our illustrative marks on the page, and then we proceed. Number 19, certain uncountable nouns that are collective in nature usually take a plural verb. Example, the police are expected to fight crime, not is. See, the police refers to a collective noun that must always be viewed as plural. The police are expected, but you can say a policeman is expected. In fact, when you say a policeman, you have singularized the subject. But when you say the police, that is perceived as referring to the group, the organization, and as a plural form. Then example aircraft provide an easier means of transportation. Not provides, because aircraft is viewed as an uncountable noun that is always in that always takes a plural verb. All right, so you can say an airplane or an airbus makes traveling easier. So you can singularize it by saying an airplane. But when you look at aircraft, you can't count it, and it is always used with a plural verb. Then the next one, of course, this is supposed to be I. All right, not one. So cattle are bought and sold in the cattle market. Cattle is another example of uncountable noun that takes a plural verb. Cattle are, not cattle is. Cattle are bought and sold in the cattle market. Cattle refers to different kinds of animals like cow and all that. All right, so but you can say that the cow was bought in the cattle market. So you singularize it when you say a cow or the cow. Okay, now rule number 20 refers to pluralia tantums. Pluralia tantums are nouns that exist only in the plural. Examples are wages, headquarters, scissors, jeans, funds, annals, spirits, surroundings, gods, earnings, arms, that's weapons, auspices, the Middle Ages, entrails, bowels, quarters or headquarters, bands, means, holidays, stars, swords, wages, thanks, riches, wreaths, savings, remains, ashes, goods, arrears, outskirts, pains, particulars, fireworks, and so on. Now, on the other hand, there are some nouns that exist in plural forms but are used with singular verbs. Examples are school subjects like physics, economics, mathematics, etc. Diseases like measles, scabies, mumps, etc. We have titles like the brides, men of honor, heroes of our city, etc. News, series, means, and so on. Now, it appears we omitted to give examples with this one. Let's look at something like wages. Of course, you can say that wages were increased. Wages were increased. You can say thanks are to be given. The remains were not buried, or the remains have not been buried. So when you look at such those things always take the plural verb. Where are the scissors? Not where is the scissors. Alright, so then the other ones that we take a singular verb, a subject like physics, you can say physics is David's. Let's cancel this. Physics is David's favorite subject, not R, because physics is even though it ends in S, yet it takes a singular verb. The same thing applies to measles. Measles usually affects, that's a singular verb. affects people in their childhood, not affect. Then you have example III. A series of terrorist attacks has left many dead in the community. A series of, this must take a singular verb, has left. Alright? So that's exactly the way it goes. Let's look at the rest of the rules of Concord. And then I'm going to look at number 21, and this is the nominalization Concord. When a collective name denoting category is used, usually an adjective turned into a noun phrase, that's nominalization, to refer to a class of persons, the verb to be used must be plural. Examples: the wise, the weak, the pure in heart, the poor, the rich, the wealthy, the successful, the gifted, the young in spirit, the handicapped, the helpless, and so forth. All these are nominalizations. Of course, some people call them categorization, or call the concept categorization Concord. Now, examples are: the rich have to help the poor. Of course, when you look at the rich here, is used to denote, people who are rich, and so it's not to be looked at as singular. So it takes a plural verb. Then the second one is the strong. The strong refers to the people who are strong. It doesn't refer to an individual, it refers to a category of persons. The strong oppress the weak, not oppresses. Alright? Okay, so rule number 22. This is known as plural number concord. Units or amounts usually take singular verbs even if they appear to be in plural forms. For example, you say 10 liters of fuel is not enough for the journey. It's wrong to say 10 liters of fuel are not enough. No, even though you have 10 liters, that is only a unit of measurement, and that should not confuse you to begin to apply a plural verb. 10 liters, even if you are saying a million liters of fuel, the verb should still be singular. A million liters of fuel is, not are. Then the second example, $500 was not what I got. You see, $500 appears to be plural, but because it's just a unit of measurement or an amount, of course, it takes a singular verb. $500 was not what I got. Not were not what I got. Alright, so number 23, rule number 23, every plus plural noun concords. When the word every precedes a plural, the next verb is plural, but when it precedes a singular subject, the verb is singular. Now let's look at examples. Every 5 referrals attract a commission of $10. Now, because every follows 5 referrals, which is plural, then the verb is plural as well. Every 5 referrals attract a commission of $10. The second example, every referral attracts $2. You can see, because every comes before a singular subject, every referral attracts, but every 5 referrals attracts. So that's the difference. Now the third example, every man likes money. Of course, because this is singular, every man. Of course, the verb is singular. Alright, so we shall be looking at the last two rules of Concord. And so we are looking at rule number 24, and it has to do with mathematical facts. Mathematical facts such as subtraction, multiplication, addition, division, and so forth can be used with either singular or plural verbs. Of course, you have an option here. You can say 2 plus 3 equals 5. And you can also say 2 plus 3 equals 5. You can say 2 plus 3 is 5. You can say 2 plus 3 are 5. Now, both usages are correct. The second example, 7 multiplied by 5 is 35. You can also say 7 multiplied by 5 are 35. Both are correct. Then the last but not the least, rule number 25. We call it all Concord. That is Concord that has to do with all. When all means everything, a singular verb is used, but when all means all the people, a plural verb is used. Let's look at the examples. Example I, all is well with my soul. Now, because all here means everything, and everything, of course, as we earlier saw in a previous rule, it has to do with an indefinite pronoun which naturally takes a singular verb. So all here, because it refers to everything, automatically takes a singular verb. So it is wrong to say all are well with my soul. The correct thing is to say all is well with my soul. Now let's look at the variation in example II. All are already in the pitch. Here you are using all to refer to persons, probably the players that are expected to be in the pitch. And you say all are already in the pitch. Somebody is asking you, have the players arrived? And you say yes, all are already in the pitch. Here you are using all to refer to all the persons. So that's exactly how it has been in today's lecture. We have been looking at 25 rules of Concord, and we have been able to look at them. Rules of Concord, as I earlier mentioned, are those rules that govern the way in which the parts of a sentence are arranged together in order to achieve grammaticality. And I earlier said that the violation of rules of Concord accounts for the majority of instances of grammatical errors in the use of English, especially by second language users of English. And so we have been able to look at it. I want to believe that you gained some benefits that will help you to improve your use of English. If you have gained and you have some comments to make, please leave your comments below. And if you have any suggestions as to how we can improve our lectures, don't hesitate to leave your comments below as well. If you would like us to treat a particular topic that you want to receive clarifications on, you can suggest the topic to us and we will gladly treat it in our subsequent lectures. Of course, we always want to make sure that you get value for the time you spend on this channel. I want to thank you for tuning in. See you in the next video, and bye bye for now.